hard.
No. Would you give me 1 minute? Well, I'm gonna have to get something on.
This is 19-year-old Lindy Jones, who's facing charges for murder in South Carolina. In August 2019, Lindy murdered 18-year-old Willie Antoine Fields. Following investigations, Lindy Jones and his younger brother, Jalen Jones, were arrested. Now in court, the mother of the victim, Angela Fields, has some words for Lindy.
Honor, I just want to let you know what they took from me. They took away my only child. It's been so hard.
Her husband, Willie Clay Fields, was consoling, but suddenly he couldn't bear the pain anymore.
It's been so hard.
Sir, back off, back off, sir, back off, back off, back off, sir, back off.
The officers eventually managed to separate him from Lindy. Eventually, Lindy was sentenced to 35 years in prison, and his brother, Jalen, received a 6-year sentence in juvenile prison. But this wasn't the only time families snapped in court. Like in the case of Diamond Alvarez, Diamond's mother was in court for the trial of 19-year-old Frank DeLeon Jr., who fatally shot their 16-year-old daughter 22 times. On January 11th, 2023, Diamond was walking her dog when Frank fatally shot her. Police investigations revealed that the two had been in a relationship and were on the verge of a breakup. Frank was promptly arrested. If you thought Frank would show remorse for his crimes, be prepared for his jaw-dropping conduct during the proceedings. In court, Diamond's mother tells the man who had wickedly ended her daughter's life how she felt. As she was giving her statement, Frank smirked at her. Enraged, Diamond's mother went to confront him. But before she could make it to the smirking murderer, the situation escalated. Diamond's uncle jumped in from the gallery and attacked Frank. Frank's mother rushed to his defense by attacking Diamond's mother, prompting Diamond's aunt to go after her. Eventually, the police were able to separate the two families. Following the brawl, Diamond's mother told the media,
"It was wrong of me. That was wrong of us because we're not monsters. But it's so much hate because I want my daughter back. And what he did it was horrible. Seeing my daughter there and looking at him that he did that and he's laughing in my face. It was very wrong, and I'm so sorry for that."
In the end, Frank accepted a plea deal and was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Fortunately, deputies were ready and stepped in before utter chaos ensued. But the same can't be said for the case of 25-year-old Tristan Lamoureux, who's facing charges for first-degree murder in Utah. On August 23, 2009, Tristan shot his wife, 19-year-old Misty Lamoureux, in their house. Tristan was eventually arrested. Now in court, Misty's brother, Jason Wilson, walks up to the podium to deliver a victim impact statement, but not before giving Tristan the death stare. While the magnitude of Tristan's crimes is daunting, his courtroom behavior will leave you in disbelief. While Jason tells the court how the murder has affected him, Tristan appears unconcerned, rocking back and forth in his chair. After a few minutes of addressing the judge, Jason turns his focus to his sister's killer. But Tristan's lack of remorse infuriated him, and he wanted to let him know how he felt. However, the deputies were at hand to counter any real damage. Following the chaos, the officers restored everything to order. Eventually, Tristan was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. However, Jason Wilson wasn't alone in their courtroom actions, like in the case of Michael Madison, a serial killer who was facing multiple charges, including 3 counts of murder in Ohio. Between 2012 and 2013, Michael killed 3 women before he was eventually arrested. Before his preliminary hearing, Michael learns the magnitude of his crime.
Mr. Madison, I'm going to read to you the nature of the charges against you and summarize each one for you, as well as giving you the potential penalties. I know you've had a chance to speak with counsel. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
All right. In the first charge, you're charged with aggravated murder in violation of Ohio Revised Code 2903.01. It states that on or about the 22nd day of July, you did purposely cause the death of an unidentified female while committing another felony. The offense was committed 1 week to 9 months prior to the finding of the body. That is a Jane Doe murder. The second murder is the same date, on or about the 22nd day of July. Michael Madison did purposely cause the death of an Angela Deskins while committing another felony. The offense was committed 3 weeks or a few weeks prior to the finding of the body. And then there's a third murder charge. On or about the 22nd day of July, Michael Madison did purposely cause the death of an unidentified female while committing another felony. The offense was committed 1 week to 1 month prior to the finding of the body. All of those are felonies of the first degree because they are aggravated murder. They are punishable by a possible death or life in prison and a $100,000 fine. You understand that?
Yes.
Now in court, Van Terry, the father of one of the victims, addresses the judge.
How you doing, Your Honor? My name is Van Terry. Right now, I guess we're supposed to, in our hearts, forgive this clown.
Van Terry now turns to speak directly to Michael.
Taking my child.
However, the real shocker came when Michael unleashed his madness in the courtroom by smirking at Van Terry, unleashing chaos. Eventually, the police were able to restore order and the proceeding continued. Now, it's time for the jury to give their decision.
We therefore unanimously find that the sentence of death should be imposed upon the defendant, Michael Madison.
Following the jury's recommendation, Judge Nancy McDonnell reads her sentence.
I am struck by the sheer inhumanity of what one human being can do to not one, but 3 human beings. It is incomprehensible. You cajoled, lured, and deceived Shatisha Shealy, Angela Deskins, and Sherelda Terry to your apartment for your depraved purposes. You went on to abuse the corpses of these 3 victims. You stripped them from the waist down. You folded them in half, binding them so that their feet were up by their ears. You wrapped them in multiple layers of trash bags, and you discarded them. Upon consideration of the relevant evidence, the testimony exhibits admitted in mitigation, it is a judgment of this court that the aggravated circumstances of course of conduct, felony murder, kidnapping, felony murder, of which the defendant was convicted, outweigh the mitigating factors by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Accordingly, the sentence of death is imposed upon the defendant, Michael Madison, on counts 1, 4, and 7.
Following the sentence, the victims' families expressed how they felt. Michael Madison is still awaiting his death in prison. But this wasn't the only time parents snapped because of how the killer was acting in court, like during the sentencing of 18-year-old Peyton Gendron, who's facing multiple charges for murder.
Oh my God, he shot so many people in there.
On May 14th, 2022, Peyton, a white supremacist, opened fire in a black-dominated Tops Friendly Market store in New York. Sadly, 10 black individuals lost their lives and 3 others were hurt before he was finally arrested. Now in court, family members of the victims let him know how they feel about him.
While I was writing this, tears fell from my eyes. Thinking about what a beautiful person you took.
My daughter, Robbie Drury, was a young woman. She was not married. She had no children. She never will. Robbie was our youngest daughter. When people ask, how many children do you have? I don't know what to say.